It is a little bit of that Hunger Games, kind of random, but I've always like every conversation. All right, let's just get this video started because I cannot. Hi everyone, my name is Gabrielle, and today I really wanted to talk about all the books that I've read this summer. Now, I read 0 books for the first half of 2022, and I'm someone who loves reading. There was just so much happening in my personal life, work life, etc. that I was just so distracted the first half of the year. I just didn't really have that zest for life, if you will. But in early June, I rediscovered a series that I read, the first installment in the series of last year that I absolutely loved. And I was like, all right, this is it. And I kicked off that love again. And so throughout June, July, and August, I've read 14 books, and I'm really excited to talk about them here with you. Now, as you may have guessed from the thumbnail, I am currently in the phase of reading young adult, new adult, and adult fantasy romance novels. That's what I'm really enjoying at the moment. That may change and fluctuate in the future, but I'm excited to talk about all the books I read today because most, if not all of them, are within that genre. Now, I'll be sharing each book's title, a little description, my general thoughts, and then what I rated it. And I will also link my Goodreads down below if you wanted to check that out. I would also love, I know there are many readers of this genre, so if you have any recommendations based off of my ratings that I described to you here, please feel free to let me know. I would love that personal recommendation as opposed to just reading some reviews on Goodreads. But yeah, let me know. Okay, the first book that I read is Dance of a Burning Sea by E.J. Mello. I'll add the cover here. Now, this is the one that started it all for me. I read the first book within this series last summer, Song of the Forever Rains. And this series, oh my goodness, okay. So it's gonna be a trilogy from my understanding. The next one to be released next year, and I'm so excited. And it follows 3 sisters, so each book is about one of the sisters. And the title alludes to each of their powers because it's the Musai trilogy, and so altogether the sisters are this group called the Musai. It's again fantasy, so they live in this land where there's sort of two worlds. One is kind of like the underworld, even though it's in real life, where people are just controlled by lust, and the Musai have powers there to sort of control people. Now, I'll read a little bit of the synopsis of this book, the book details on Goodreads. So again, this follows the second sister within the series, Naya, I'm gonna pronounce her name, N-I-Y-A. The Musai, a trio of deadly sorceresses bound by oath and blood, use their power to protect the kingdom's treasure. So Nia Bassett, the second sister, brings the potent gift of dance, hence the song Dance of a Burning Sea. The first book, Song of Forever Rains, their sister sang, that was her power. And so it's kind of like a lovers to enemies, enemies to lovers plot. I won't give away too much, but this one specifically, it involves like a pirate lord and their dynamic there. Nia has a high temper, and so she gets herself into trouble with some bets that she makes, but it's kind of their journey through figuring out the bets that she makes. Again, I won't give away too much, but it's really good. I love E.J. Mello's writing. Song of Forever Rains was the first book I had ever read by E.J. Mello, and so highly recommend. I gave this book 4 stars. Okay, the next book that I read is called The Iron Raven, and it is by Julie Kagawa. This is the first book I've ever read by Julie, and it is the first within what I believe is a duology. And so this book, I rated it a 3-star. It wasn't what I expected. It was really interesting because it was narrated from the perspective of Puck, the character from William Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. So I thought that was such a unique idea, both in Midsummer Night's Dream and in The Iron Raven. He's a jokester, but this sort of takes a darker look into having his introspection, him determining whether he wants to live his life the way he always has, with joking around, not taking things too seriously. And so within the fairy world, there's this evil being that is destroying the way life can exist. And so him and his group of friends have to sort of go on this journey. I will say I did enjoy the unique perspective of having Puck narrate, but I also didn't like that because he's very annoying. Yeah, so it's kind of annoying if the author, the narrator is always describing themselves as like, oh, I'm such a jokester. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I should have written down some quotes, but it was just like, okay, we get it. Anyway, 3-star. The next book, number three is Glow by Raven Kennedy. Now, this book is the 4th within her Plated Prisoner series, and it was actually just released June 18th. So I read it shortly after it was released because I could not wait any longer. I first discovered the Plated Prisoner series directly after reading Song of the Forever Rains last year, and my life has changed ever since. This is like my favorite series that I've read as an adult, and the last book in the series comes out next summer and I'm not ready. This series is amazing. It follows Orin, who is made of gold, and her journey as a prisoner, but a willing prisoner of King Midas. And so King Midas has fooled his kingdom into believing that it is his golden touch, a play on that little story. And so he has the power of golden touch, when in actuality, Orin, who's made of gold, has anything she touches turns to gold. And so he uses her power to rule his kingdom and try to take over their world. And so she goes under a journey of self-discovery. And now I'm not going to give too much detail about this specific book's plotline because it is essential to read all the books in the series to understand what's going on. So that's a little bit into the first book and how things start off. But it is really a journey of self-discovery, identifying her own strengths, and learning what love really looks like. That's 5-star for me, if you didn't guess. That's just anything in this series I already know is going to be 5-star. So yeah. The next 2 books I'll group together because they're a duology, and that is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen, and then the second within the series, The Traitor Queen. So I had never heard of these books. I think I discovered them because I was looking at author Raven Kennedy's Goodreads account. I saw she had read The Bridge Kingdom, so I was like, okay, I need to read this if Raven Kennedy's read this. And so I read both within the series. I rated The Bridge Kingdom 4-star and The Traitor Queen 3-star. Now, it's a really interesting story. The Bridge Kingdom specifically follows Lara, who is the daughter of the king of her kingdom, and her like 20-something other sisters are raised in the desert to be secret spies and assassins for their kingdom. So one of them will be chosen and married off to the king of the Bridge Kingdom, where they can then spy on his kingdom and bring the secrets back to their father. And so it's her journey of being that sister, discovering the truth of the Bridge Kingdom, and also discovering the truth of who her father is and how he rules his kingdom. I was not expecting it at all. I will say the cover does not look nearly as exciting as the story is. The cover was not done very well in my opinion, but I really enjoyed the story. So again, 4-star. The second book within the series, The Traitor Queen, I didn't quite love as much. I feel like the ending was so disappointing, and it was a little bit lazy because it wasn't alluded to or brought up as well as it could have been throughout the book, so it kind of felt like they just needed to find a resolution. That's the one that they went with. Now, let's get into it. I started the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer Armentrout. This series is highly raved about, totally obsessed over, all over the internet. And I had never read, oh wait, not true. I had never read anything by Jennifer Armentrout before. So at this point in time, I've read From Blood and Ash, the first in the series, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, the second one, and spoiler alert, I DNF'd, did not finish, The Crown of Gilded Bones. Gilded Bones, I can't speak. Which is the third within the series. The first book, what did I rate it? A 4-star, I believe? Yeah, From Blood and Ash, I gave 4 stars. Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, 2-star, and then as you know, 1-star for Crown of Gilded Bones. So this story follows Poppy, who is the maiden, a sort of sheltered figure in her society. There's a lot of journeys of self-discovery within these books, but she essentially meets this guard who she falls in love with, and he then later kidnaps her, and so she has to learn what life means outside of being guarded, whether she wants to continue being the maiden now that she's no longer in that protected society, and what she has to do about feeling for a man who then kidnapped her. Overall, I ended up DNFing the third book within the series because once again, it was very confusing at the initial part of the book, and this is the third book in, so why is it confusing? And then it went right back to the exact same repetitive dialogue and plot lines. When I tell you, every conversation between Poppy and the love interest Hawk / Castile follows the same the same structure. It is so infuriating. This is the structure of every conversation between them. Castile says something flirtatious. Poppy, ugh, don't make me punch or stab you. Castile, ooh, I wish you would. You know I love your violent side. Poppy, there's something wrong with you. Castile, oh, but there is. Like every conversation. Okay, I'm not gonna say any more because it just got so frustrating, but there's something so annoying when you know there's like a series that's so beloved and you just can't. I wish I could, but alas, it is what it is. The next one, which again I'll loop together, is another duology, and it is Fable by Adrienne Young. This is a YA series, and it's really cute. Overall, I gave both books a 3-star. And so it follows Fable, who was abandoned by her father on the island of Jabari for 4 years and was instructed to find her way back to him if she really, wanted to. If she really was determined and strong enough, she would find her way off that island. And he abandoned her there directly after her mother died in a shipwreck. And so her father, who is this super strong and powerful pirate, I guess if you will, in their world, leaves her and abandons her there. And so it's her journey to find her father, as well as finding herself. The first book kind of dives more into her journey of finding her way back to her father, having to spend all those 4 years earning money, surviving to get off the island before she finally has enough coin to pay for passage on this ship. She finds her way back to him, and then the second book is a journey where she gets kidnapped. She has to find her way back to her love interest. And so overall, it was really cute. I liked all the twists and turns, though I feel like each book wasn't that long. They were within 300 something pages each. I feel like they could have been a bit longer. I think Adrienne Young did a good job. The covers, so beautiful. Look at these. She knew what she was doing, all right? Gorgeous. But that's besides the point. I think the thing that made me give it a 3 stars of like an average, like this is solid but not amazing, was because I feel like there could have been more development between the characters' relationship and bond. particularly between Fable and her, what's the word for them, shipmates, the people who she claimed to love and wanted to sail on this ship with forever. The relationships just weren't really that developed. Like, I didn't get why she loved them so much, and that sort of found family aspect just wasn't really as developed for me as I think it could have been. The next book that I read, I'm not going to say that much about, but it was A Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. I learned about this book from a Reddit thread where I saw the hilariously described description page of the book. And so I won't say anymore, I'll just say look it up. I won't really be reading more, it's not really for me, but overall I gave it a 3-star. 2 more to go. Actually, there's 3 books total, but 2 more. So next one is A Ruin of Roses. This is by K.F. Breen, and this one, I'll just say right from the beginning, 1 star. I almost DNF'd it, but because it's on the shorter side, it's, how long is it? Oh, 386 pages, I guess not bad. It felt like shorter because there just like wasn't that much. I wanted to DNF it, but by that time I wanted to DNF it, I was already done, so it was just over. It is so corny. It's written like for children, but the content is not for children. I would not recommend this for children. It's so corny. I'll just say my review. The idea for a magical land kept under a spell that makes their inner shifting animals dormant is an amazing idea. Okay, there's the biggest plot line right there. Great idea. The way it's actually written is awful. Why would her dormant animal immediately feel lust for another as opposed to anger for being kept asleep so long? Because essentially the primary character, like I said, they're shifting animals. And so all of a sudden her animal that she's supposed to shift with comes alive. And she's never shifted before because this magic has been dormant past the point of maturity that they would normally come about with. Her animal in her comes alive and then immediately just starts like lusting after this other man's beast or animal who she was kidnapped by. Like, it's just terrible. I got really tired of the like, oh, I feel so dainty with this giant man next to me idea. It tried to be not like the other girls because she was like, I'm like 6 feet tall, but then it just played into exactly the same thing with like, but he's 7 feet tall and he's so much bigger than me, you know, that kind of thing. I hated the Edward Cullen style vibe that the main male character gave off, which was like the stay away from me, I'll destroy you thing. But then he kept like beckoning her, summoning her to him. I'm like, why are you doing this? 1 star, it was really bad. I would not recommend. The last 2 books I will talk about is currently a series I'm in. There's like over 7 books within the series, so I'm really excited to finish it because I'm loving it. My first time reading Sarah J. Maas, who I'm sure you know and love if you read this genre, but I am reading the Throne of Glass series. I really enjoyed the series so far, and I finished the first 2 books. So the first one is Throne of Glass, and then the second one is Crown of Midnight, which I just finished yesterday. So I'm really loving it, and essentially it is about Selena Sardothian, or so she is called. And so the description is, beautiful, deadly, destined for greatness. In the dark, filthy salt mines of Endovier, an 18-year-old girl is serving a life sentence. She's a trained assassin, the best of her kind, but she made a fatal mistake. She got caught. Essentially, the prince of the kingdom that her jail is in releases her from the jail to serve as his competitor within his father, the king's competition. And so whoever wins this competition will be the king's champion, and it is a competition amongst assassins to be the king's assassin. She agrees to compete on behalf of the prince. If she wins and serves 4 years as the king's champion, she will then gain her freedom. So that's what she wants more than anything, at least at the start of the series. The rest of the series follows her. The first book is the competition. She wins, spoiler alert. And then now it's her journey throughout that. There is a love triangle of sorts. I love Sarah J. Maas's attention to detail in describing the moments where Selena's getting more vicious and tapping into that more assassin energy. I think she does a good job of describing the type of details Selena would notice as this expert assassin, and not just doing the bare minimum to describe, you know, what she smells, what she sees, the details she notices about a person. I really appreciate that. It is a little bit of that Hunger Games vibe. So far, both books have received a 4-star for me within the series. Really enjoying them. Now I'll share a little bit of what I'm hoping to read within the next few months. I am about to start the 3rd book within the Throne of Glass series. I am planning to read the 1st book of the Harry Potter series for the first time ever in my life. As an adult. I've never read any of the books, so I might try that out, we'll see. I might read Lightlark by Alex Astor. I know that's been a bit of a controversial one on the internet. I also might read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. And then I might possibly pick up Beowulf, which is kind of random, but I've always been intrigued by it, so I figured maybe I'll do that in the fall. We'll see what I actually pick up, but hopefully they're all good. I don't really like to DNF, so I'm hoping for some more 5-star reads. That's it. So let me know if you read any of these books. I really wanted to make this video because there isn't anyone in my personal life who also reads the same books that I do. So I would love if any of you, again, could share your recommendations below or share your reviews if you read any of these. And feel free to add me as a friend on Goodreads. I would love to follow any of you, especially if you read the same genre, to find out what you're reading, what you're thinking about them, and just have a good laugh overall. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in another video sometime soon, but for now, have a great rest of your day.